We gonna ask the questions that scare me. We gonna break the bonds of silence, yeah. Will I find the truth in my reflection? Will I see the meaning of my defiance? 'Cause there are words that must be said, and there are words that must be heard, and that they're not is really quite absurd. And there's a footstep in the clouds, and there is warmth in drops of rain, and there's a meaning to the world.
So since you're a music producer yourself and you've pretty much done everything there is to do in terms of both working with independent music as well as film music, and you know that there's not a lot of formal education going on for someone.
I haven't had any.
Yeah, you haven't had it as a student who wants to become a music producer. Yeah. So in light of that, what do you think is the relevance of a workshop like this, the workshop on music production that you're at right now?
Well, to be honest, I'm not sure yet because I don't know what I'm going to say or what they're going to ask me. But I think for whatever it's worth, it's important that people get talking about stuff, share ideas. That's, I mean, the most crucial element of music as far as I'm concerned. I mean, if you notice, if you look back at stuff I do, all of it is collaborative.
Yeah.
Started out with Pentagram, and without Randolph, Kapil and Shiraz, there'd be no Pentagram. Similarly with Vishal and Shikhar, if both of us weren't throwing ideas into the pot, it just wouldn't be, you know. So I think it's really important for musicians to share ideas, because I know how much I've learned from other musicians and from other producers, just talking, hanging out, and just you know, seeing what gear, what software, the tricks, you know, that you can learn from each other. It's really informative. This is a little formal in the sense of it's chairs and kind of talking to a bunch of people, so that, you know, that one-on-one thing that I've come from is kind of different. But I think it's a similar plan, you know, is that you share whatever you know with each other. I'm sure today I'll learn a lot from the people who are asking the questions, just from the kind of questions they ask.
Yeah.
You know, because there are times you don't really know how to articulate a doubt you may have, for example, you know, or someone may see things from a new perspective and kind of bring a light on that for me. You know, I might learn to see things in a new way as well. For me, that's the value of it. Hopefully, it'll be the same for the people listening. You know, that they'll be asking me stuff, and maybe I'll say stuff that they haven't thought about, because I have now. I've been doing a lot of stuff. I've done probably more than 40 films with Vishal and Shikhar. Pentagram is putting out his 4th album. We've been touring all over the world. So, and you know, in both spaces we're fairly known for our, you know, sonic innovation, madness.
Yeah.
You know, call it. I think it's key to really tell young musicians that you know, don't do stuff you've heard before. Not enough people say that. You know, everyone says you learn from your influences, which is true, and without which no musician would be anything.
Yeah.
But if you don't transcend that, you know, then you're in a loop. Everyone's just going to go around learning from the same stuff. And so unless you can bring individual, almost rebellion to it, I think that's really crucial to any music producer, any genius music producer. I mean, down the ages, every time you heard someone doing something that blew everyone's minds, it was technically wrong. You know? Exactly. That's something I would like to say, and that's something I place great importance on. It's important not to follow blindly what people tell you, including in workshops like this. When you go home, basically you're a mad scientist. Tinker, tweak, you know, expand the boundaries of your imagination fundamentally. I mean, that's what a good producer is, you know. And I think it's also very important to define, for example, the direction that your music wants to take before you set out to make it. You know, the reason Pentagram and Vishal and Shikhar sound so different, and the reason I can do both sides of the spectrum, is because for me, when I'm with Pentagram, I know what I want to say there. It's a very personal journey, very, very important to me as a person and to the 4 of us in the band. Whereas with Vishal and Shikhar, I know that there's a commercial bent to the music. I know it needs to reach 1 billion people.
Yeah.
I know in my head what those 1 billion people have been listening to all these years, I know their tolerance for, their acceptance for new ideas, provided you put it to them in a space that they can understand it. So if your track is hardcore, melodically you do something that kind of grounds it for them, roots it for them, then it becomes easier for them to kind of understand and be taken to that next step. And it is a stage by stage process. So I believe that it's a producer's job to not only expand your own mind, but also take your audience with you. I think that's really crucial. And to do that, you need to connect with your audience, you need to know your audience, you need to figure out who's listening and why they're listening to you, and what you can do to, one, surprise them, and two, elevate that experience that they have. I think that's crucial.
So at a personal level, you have these two sort of distinct outlets, one in front, Pentagram, and then the other one in Vishal Shekhar.
Sure.
So when you're making a track for Pentagram or with Vishal Shekhar, do you consciously try to let one feed off the other, or do you want let them mingle and both sound feed off?
No, the way I see it, I'm the same person.
Exactly.
So if you think of yourself as a vector, in Pentagram there are 3 other vectors.
Yeah.
So therefore, the direction that it goes in is a particular direction. Whereas with Vishal and Shekhar, we're both vectors, again pulling in a different direction. So I'm the same in each space. But it's the idea of being with those other energies that takes me in this direction. Okay. Pentagram started out, like I said again, and it still is a personal expression. So we talk about what we want to say about the world at large, about our lives, about things that influence us, whatever. Whereas with Vishal and Shekhar, there's very little of that. It's almost purely a commercial aspect. So you have to figure out a way to kind of do things like make them new in spite of that. Yeah. In spite of the director, in spite of the script, in spite of all the limitations.
Maybe that's why you've been able to cover the niche, despite having that.
But you got to fight the impulse to just do whatever gets done quickly.
Yeah.
I think it's very important for me to go in and tell them, for example, that we were doing a film called Anjana recently. A lot of people rated us one of our best soundtracks. And the thing is, the reason that happened is because Shekhar and I went into that soundtrack and we decided that look, we're not going to give them just what they want.
Exactly.
So there were 4 songs that we recorded over and above the songs that are on the album. And the director was a very close friend. He loved them. He loved those songs.
These being, I think, heard.
No, you haven't heard those songs.
You haven't.
They're not on the soundtrack. The reason they're not on the soundtrack is because Shekhar and I decided that we don't like them.
Okay.
They were fine with the director.
Okay.
Fine with the people. Everybody loved them. We just went and hit delete because we didn't like them. So you need to have that conviction.
Okay.
You need to be able to tell yourself that no, this is ordinary. In spite of other people saying yes, it's fantastic.
Okay.
And that kind of filter, basically, in commercial music, you're a filter. Anyone can generate, I believe anyone can generate bunches of tunes. It's not, what is it? You're just putting together combinations of notes, really. That's what a melody is, essentially. Right? What makes one musician different from another is his ability to say, yes, this is a good melody, or yes, that's not a good melody. You know what I'm saying? And some people have a slightly more kind of attuned awareness of that, and some people have a slightly lower awareness of that, which is, that's something you can develop. It's not, that's, for me, it's that simple. And I think it's important to break it down to people and tell them that it's that simple. So they're not intimidated by it. I know people who say, how can you compose a song? What do you mean? How do you say things? You put words together, right? It's the same fundamental thing. So,
and from a very practicality standpoint, since again we've been on both spectrums.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the difference in terms of accessibility to resources, venues, studios, being an independent band and being a pair of musicians working in a system, like in a film system?
But I've got to tell you, accessibility is really low all around.
Okay.
In the sense of, there are too few studios, real legitimate studios, and there are too many musicians, and too much commercial work happening. So which is why Shekhar and I have our own place. That's the first thing we built, is our own workspace.
Okay.
First thing we did with the first money we made was start to build a studio. Smartest move we ever made. Because you never have to run around for bookings, you never have to think about infrastructure, you never have to time your work according to somebody else's schedule, never. So I think that's again important. And these days studios like the Pro Tools system now, I think is down to 4 lakhs or something like that, which it may seem intimidating to a rock band starting out, but if you're in commercial music, if you get into the advertising circuit, it's not that distant a dream. You can easily attain it. You need to find your space and you need to set up your own space, and so you have complete control. I think that's another important thing. You know, a lot of the times musicians make do with like a loop. It's not perfect, or they don't. So if you have your own space, you can record it. You can tweak it till it is perfect. You can do whatever you want. Fundamentally, you're the king of that particular domain. I think it's important to have that outlook as well. As far as the bands are concerned, the band scene is concerned, Pentagram, we did our first album in the studio, and then we never went back into the studio since. In fact, on our 4th album, which is Bloody Wood, which is coming out in March, we've done some sessions in the studio, which was really refreshing for us because Pentagram just doesn't use studio. We use outboard gear and we record on the road, on the fly, hotel rooms, wherever we are.
Alright.
So all of that is there. You just have to find it. It's easy to do, and it's really quite cheap now. And truth of the matter is that it's as long as you find a sound that's in your head, it doesn't matter where you did it. Nobody's going to ask you that. So that's another limitation that musicians place upon themselves, that they have to be in a certain space. I know some of the greatest bands in the world who do exactly what we do, which is just get on the road and while they're in the bus or in the hotel room or whatever, they record, and that's the final take. It's
if I can recall a recent incident, Gorillaz, their latest album was recorded on iPad while they were touring.
Sure, totally. It's totally. I mean, in fact, now the iPhone, the iPod, they come with these mics, and if you record into them, that's actually studio quality more or less. If you can find a more or less silent environment, you can actually do a vocal take on that. The iPhone comes with a 4-track mixer now, where you can download samples and produce a 4-track version of your tracks. You can actually do your basic scratch on your phone, on the plane or in the bus or wherever you are. Which I mean right now, and it's dirt cheap. It's I think it's a $50 software. A 4-track recording studio back when we started out. We went and bought one for 27 grand or something like that, and it was like our prized possession, like a 4-track recorder, because that's what we wanted to make our demos to, send to the various, maybe labels or management or contests or whatever it is. Now you can do it in your phone.
So do you think that is the way forward? Technology is the way forward?
Well, technology is the way forward, of course, but I mean, you can't lose out on the fact that essentially no technology can replace talent.
Exactly.
The key is net you have to write a good song. Then what you do with it is technology. But I mean, just intuitive talent is irreplaceable. I don't think technology will ever come close to that.
Be heard, and that they're not